Hello and welcome to today's Dynamics 365 Tech Talk. Today's topic is product change process using engineering change management in D365 SCM. My name is Michaela and I'll be your moderator today. We are broadcasting this session through Teams live events and the audio can be heard through your device speakers. The session is being recorded on behalf of the Microsoft Corporation. When you join this event, your name, email address, and/or phone number may be viewable by other session participants in the attendee list. By joining, you are agreeing to this experience. The recording will be available on the Tech Talks Community Dynamics page within 5 business days. If you have questions for our presenters or need support, please use the Q&A panel located on the right side of your screen. Our presenters will be responding to your questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you for your patience during these announcements. Kicking us off today from Microsoft, we have Anne Krupke, Senior Solutions Architect. Anne, over to you.
Thanks, Michaela. And thank you everybody for joining us today. We are really excited to present the next Tech Talk in our ECM series. Let's get started. As I said, this is the third Tech Talk in a series of 4 on engineering change management in Dynamics 365 supply chain management. In this session, we are covering the product change process with ECM. If you missed our previous 2 Tech Talks, they're now available on the Dynamics 365 community page. The link for the recordings will be provided at the end of the presentation when we cover extra resources. Do also make sure to join us for the next and last Tech Talk at the end of September, where we'll cover the product retirement process in ECM. And as usual, we have a riddle of the day. The riddle today is, how many programmers does it take to change a light bulb? Feel free to put your guesses in the chat and we will reveal the answer at the end of the session. We will kick off our presentation today by reviewing the business process for changing products, which we discussed briefly in our overview Tech Talk. In today's session, we'll use a process manufacturing item. So the second topic we'll review is the features and configurations for using process manufacturing with ECM. Then we'll pass it over to Hiran and Minu to review the configurations and features and dynamics that we'll use to support the engineering change process. And we'll complete the scenario by demonstrating that process in Dynamics. At the end, we'll wrap up with some additional resources and have some time to answer your questions. All right, let's dive in and review the product change process scenario that we're going to use in the demo, which will drive the decisions that we make when we configure ECM. After products have gone through the initial product launch process, it's highly likely that we'll need to make changes to the product within its lifecycle. Normally, updates are driven either by a periodic process of reviewing our product offerings and determining whether we need to make changes, or they may come up ad hoc throughout the product lifespan. For example, a customer service agent may receive a call from a customer asking for a change to the bill of materials, or a production operator may raise an insight into the routing based on their experience producing the item. In Dynamics, we have a tool called a change request, which is used to track proposed product changes, which we'll review in more detail in later sections. Once a change request has been raised, we typically will want to investigate whether the change is feasible and what the implications are. For more complex changes, we may use the project management and accounting module to track the cost of the research or test runs in production, just like we do for new products. We will also need to think about whether the change requested should be a new version of the existing product, a new product variant, or whether it should be a new product entirely. If we decide to approve the change and determine that it should be an update to the existing process, we will create the change documentation in the form of a change order to track what changes are that are being made and the various approvals we want to capture for that change. We will also analyze the business impact of the change and identify any on-hand or work in progress inventory of our soon-to-be obsolete version. Once change approvals are completed, we can release the updated product information to the manufacturing entities, just like we did for new product launch. When we're making a significant change to the product, especially regarding the bill of materials, we may address the disposal of old versions of inventory in a couple of different ways. We might simply scrap the inventory in the system, or we might have a promotion to sell the remaining inventory at a reduced price to deplete the stock as quickly as possible. We may also want to look at work in process orders and determine whether any action should be taken with them. Before we get into configurations, let's dig in a little deeper on a key decision that you'll need to make when you're processing a product change. And that is, what is the change impact or the result of the change? The rule of thumb used by many organizations is the F3 rule, which stands for form, fit, and function. Form refers to the physical aspects of your product, like size, shape, or weight. Fit refers to the product's ability to connect or join with other parts in an assembly, and function refers to the purpose of the product. The F3 rule essentially says that if we're seeing a change in the form, fit, or function of our item, then it should be a new item, or in our dynamics case, it may just be a new variant. So let's walk through some examples. We have our acoustic foam panel product we'll use in this example, which is a product master with a size dimension, and our variant is 4 feet by 6 feet. We will walk through some different proposed changes and what the impact of each change would be. Our first example, an operator on the shop floor has raised a case that the cutoffs from the acoustic foam panel production process can be repurposed in speaker assembly as damping foam panels. In this case, the proposed change represents a major change in what the fit, form, and function of the product would be. So our decision in this case would be to create a completely new product for speaker damping foam and leave acoustic foam panel as it is. Another case might be if our product marketing team proposes that we stock a new size of our acoustic foam panel, maybe 3 feet by 5 feet. This does change the form of the product, but since we use size as a product dimension, then the result of this change would be a new variant, acoustic foam panel 3 by 5. And finally, we have an example where sourcing indicates that they're going to stop purchasing from one of the chemical components that we use in the foam panel process and replace it with another chemical that performs the same function in the speaker foam. For this example, we would set our impact as new version, since we want to revise the bill of materials or formula on a new version, but it's not changing the form, fit, or function of the item. The decision path that you make for a new product versus variant or version will be established by your business to help you determine when each case will be used. Now let's take a quick detour and talk about the setups we need to do to support process manufacturing with ECM. In our session on the new product launch process, we covered the setups for discrete manufacturing in ECM, and the recording for that session, like I mentioned before, is available on the Dynamics community site. So let's talk through some quick details about what we need to do and how we need to set this up. First, you need to have two main features enabled, the general ECM feature, and then there is a feature specifically called Manage Changes to Formulas and Their Ingredients, which was added when we added support for process manufacturing with ECM. These features can be turned on through the Feature Management module. Next, let's talk about which items in the process manufacturing area would be set up as engineering products. When we create engineering products, the only options allowed by the system for product categories are production types of BOM, formula, or planning item. So what that means is co-products, byproducts, and raw materials, which have a production type of none, will typically be set up as regular release products or not as engineering products. The intent here is that we use ECM to control the changes to the formula and route, and any item that's not the main formula item does not need to be ECM enabled. You can see I've added a link at the bottom of the screen here, which provides more information about using ECM with process manufacturing. In our example today, we will be using the acoustic foam panel product to show how we process changes to the formula using ECM. The formula item, which is our acoustic foam panel, will be set up as an engineering product because it has the formula and the route attached to it. The co-product, speaker damping foam, will be set up as a regular product, and by that I mean non-engineering. And the byproduct foam remnants will also be set up as a regular product and not an engineering product. In terms of setup for the engineering product, we do need to have an engineering product category, just like we have with discrete manufacturing items. The main difference here between formula and bombs is that the production type is going to be set to formula. And if it was a catch plate item, we would set that flag to yes, but since it's not, we'll leave that as no. We will be able to use the same product readiness policy that we set up for our discrete example, but we'll need to create a new product release policy. We do cover all of these options on the engineering product category in more detail in our previous tech talk. So if you want information about how to set up an engineering product category, then you can look at that recording. And here is the new product release policy we needed to create. You can see that, again, we need to set the production type to formula here. In the engineering product category, when we say the production type is formula, it will automatically filter the options we see for product release policies to relate that match the production type of formula. So we need to create a product release policy and an engineering product category. Once we select the production type formula, we can see that the fields on the form are updated from BOM to be formula. The purpose of the fields is the same as the discrete fields. And once again, we discussed the function of a product release policy in much more detail in our previous tech talk. So I won't repeat that here. And finally, I'll show you how the engineering version looks different when it's a formula item instead of a BOM item. And really it's just, instead of having a tab that says BOM, we have a tab that says formulas, which shows us the formula and all the relevant functions on top of the formula. Now that we've covered the process manufacturing setup, I will hand it over to Hiren to talk about change requests and change orders.
Thanks, Anne. Now that we have reviewed product change process as well as setup and configuration required for an engineering product produced using the process manufacturing process, now let us review change request and change order process in this product change process. Typically, organization will build processes around the change request and change orders to change the engineering products using the ECM. So let us understand what is change request and change orders and how organization can use these processes to establish efficient product change process. The engineering change request process lets you capture requests for changes from all the relevant departments in your company. It doesn't matter whether you work as an engineer or in the manufacturing or sales department. Anybody can use engineering change request to request a change. Change request is a means to suggest a product change, but it does not mean change will happen until the change is approved. And this change might be an idea for a new product, an issue that you discovered while you were working with an existing product, a suggestion for improving an existing product, or it could be something else. And after someone submits a request for a change, the review and approval process can be managed by a workflow that identifies who must approve the change. It could be a product manager or product owner. Engineering change orders provide a structured process for making changes to the engineering products, and typically product managers initiate the change order process. Product manager propose changes by using the engineering relevant data and create an engineering change orders from scratch, or if change request is approved, product manager can convert the change request into the change orders. You can define attributes such as priority, severity for change order, as well as for change request. In addition, you can define attributes like customer approval, material disposal codes, etc. You can include multiple products on a single engineering change order. Using this change, new product, new variant, or new version can be generated. And once change is approved and processed, product can be released to an operational company. Now, let us review one of the use case for change request and change order process. This is a typical process flow in an organization, how to request for a change, how to convert a change request to a change order, and as the change order progresses, approve and process the change. So for example, company manufactures the acoustic foam panel, and one of the component in the formula for making the acoustic foam panel is polyol. Due to supply chain shortage of the polyol, purchase manager requests to change the component to lignin and request to create a new version of the acoustic foam panel. Based on specification from supplier, purchase manager adds details to this new component lignin and how it will help make acoustic foam panel better, having reduction in void volume and increased in density. Then change request is routed to the acoustic foam panel product managers via workflow for review and approval. Product manager approve the change request and create a change order by converting the change request to the change order. Change order will be created by adding existing acoustic foam panel version V1 product to the change order. The product R&D team will review and test the product formula changes to make sure the replaced component lignin instead of polyol is providing better density for the acoustic foam panel. Once tests are successful and meet the quality standards, formula for the acoustic foam panel V1 product will be changed in the change order, which will result into the new product version for the acoustic foam panel V2. Change order will be submitted for approval via workflow, and once the product owner group approves the change order, it will be processed, resulting in a new product version for the acoustic foam panel, where new component lignin has replaced polyol. So once product acoustic foam panel changes are approved and processed, new product version and its formula will be released to the operational company. And depending on the setup and configuration of product release policy in the system, product is released and it can be automatically be available in operational company, or manual approval is needed in specific operational company. Now let's review some of the attributes which you can use on change request and change orders. When we create change request and change orders, there are three fields which you can use to classify the change. These are the change category, priority, and severity. If you create a change request and convert it to a change order, these attributes will be carried over to the new change order. Category is used to help group types of changes which can be used to route change approvals in workflow and to support reporting on the changes. Our change category values in this example are change, issue, and new development. Similarly, priority is used to help us identify how fast we need to act on the change. So in this case, our values are emergency, urgent, and routine. And lastly, severity. Severity is used to tell us how much the change impacts the product. So our values are very high, high, normal, and minimal. When we fill out the change order, there will be additional attributes that we can capture for each line on the change order. These attributes are optional, but you may want to require them based on your specific business process. First, we have the change reason, which we have added options for like customer complaint, internal QA, and new design insight. Next, we have the material disposal codes, which we use to indicate items that need to be handled specifically in the case of disposal. The values defined will vary based on the type of material your company handles. Next, we have the received customer approval statuses. In our case, we use very basic statuses indicating that the customer approval is requested, in progress, and handled. And finally, we can specify any environmental health and safety standards that are related to the specific product. Once again, the values you will set up in this field will depend on the types of material and the processes that you have in your business. Now let's quickly review change request lifecycle and different statuses of the change request. The engineering change request process lets you capture the request for changes from all the relevant departments in your company. So anybody can use engineering change request to request a change, and this change might be an idea for a new product, an issue with an existing product, or it's just a suggestion for an existing product. When change request is created, it will be in the created state. Change request properties such as category, priority, and severity will be defined. Change information will be captured through notes, images, files, or attachments. And product information will be captured if the change request is for existing product or a suggestion for a new product. After someone submits a request for a change, the review and approval process can be managed either manually or can be automated by a workflow that identify who must approve the change. If change request is approved, the status will be changed to approved. Change request can also be cancelled if it is in created or approved state. Approved change request can also be reopened and add further information. Change information can be added. Next step in the process is to create the change order from the change request. When change order is created from the change request, product information will be copied along with some of the change request attributes will also be copied over to the change order. And in this case, change request status will change to followed up. So we'll walk you through this process later in the demo as well. Let's review change order lifecycle and its statuses. As discussed, change order provides structured process for either creating new product or to make change in the existing products. In order to have control product change process, change order is used, and change order will be created from change request, and change order goes through a life cycle as change order progresses. When the change order is created, it will be in open state. Change order properties and product details will be added. Product impact will be defined either as a new product from an existing product, new variant, or new version from an existing product. And additional product details such as attributes, BOM or formula, and route details will be specified. Change order will be validated to make sure change product has all the required details filled in. Once the details are specified to change products, change order needs to go through approval before it can be processed. Once the change order is approved, it will be processed. This process creates a new product or a variant or a version in engineering organization. This process also creates BOM or formula automatically based on the configuration of the number sequences and associate it with a new engineering version. Like change request, change order can also be configured to use workflow for automatic approval and processing. And once the change order is approved, it will be processed. And from this point, engineering product can be released to operational company and will be marked as complete. If throughout this process, if proposed changes are not satisfactory or per business rule and regulations, change order can be cancelled altogether. Now let us review the end-to-end process of changing the engineering product in a demo. I will demo and showcase the change request process, and then Minu will take over to show you the change order process. Throughout this demo, you will be seeing how product is changed and evolved in the process manufacturing. So we'll first start by going to the release products and looking at our engineering change product. So we have an engineering product called ECM AFP001. So let's go ahead and review the details of this product, which is an acoustic form product. So first, let's go and review the engineering product category, which is associated with this product. The engineering product category is form products. So let's review some of the configuration. As you can see, it is set up as item and the production type is formula. We are tracking the versions here for this engineering product category. It's a product master and we have configured configure and version to track as a variant. We have also set up the readiness policy and release policy on the engineering product category. If you want to learn more about the detailed setup that we have covered in our previous tech talk. Now let's go back into the product itself and let's review the existing engineering version. So as you can see, we have version V1 with the 1 square foot of configuration and it is in active state. So let's review the detail of this engineering version. So as you can see, we have an engineering version and we have a formula associated with it. Formula is DEMF151. Let's review the lines. As you can see, this formula has 3 components, M18, M19, and M20. What we are planning to do as part of this product change processes, we are planning to change or replace the component M0018 with a new component M0031, which is lignin. Now let's go back to the release product. Alternatively, what you can do is if you want to find an impacted product, you can also go into the raw material. So here I'm going to type M0018, which is our raw material, which we are going to replace. And you can use the where used functionality to identify which BOM or formula this raw material is part of. And as you can see, DEMF 151 has this engineering product. Now I will go into the, as you can see, I'm in the USMF company, and I will start by creating a new change request as a purchase manager. I will create a new change request. I will specify a title saying replace component for ECM AFP 001. And then I will specify a priority as routine for this change request. I will specify a category as change, and I will set up the severity as medium. I will save the change request, and as you can see, it's a new change request. I can then go ahead and add all the change information here. You can add file, image, note, or URL. For simplicity, I'm going to add a note, and I can specify the description for the change. So I'm just going to simply say replace polyol, and you can specify notes. You can add as much detail as you want so that product manager can review the change request and basically approve it. So I'm done here with specifying all the details for the change. The next thing which I will do is add the impacted product. So in this case, we are going to use ECM AFP 001 with 1 square foot and version 01, which is the impacted product, which we would like to change. So once as a purchase manager, I'm done with adding the product and all the change information and all the attributes. I am done in this company by requesting a change request. Now I will switch over into the DEMF company where basically product manager can review all the change requests and review if there are any new change requests have come through and review them. So now I'm in the DEMF company. I will go into the change request, all change request, and as you can see, change request has come through to replace the component for ECM AFP 001. As a product manager, I will review all the change information. I will review the impacted products, and I can go ahead and basically, if everything is satisfactory, I can go ahead and approve this change request. You can also set up a workflow so that the change request can be automatically assigned to a product manager, and product manager can approve it. So once I approve this change request, I can also see a business impact. So business impact is basically you can see if this if there are any open transactions such as sales order, production order, or purchase order. So as you can see, we have a product sales order 3635 in the USMF company, which is open. So at this point of time, as a product manager, I can basically stop this production order sales order from shipping. So I can block directly from here. What I can also do is I can notify the sales responsible directly from here, so that this this sales order will not be shipped any longer, and it will be notified to the sales responsible. Similarly, what you can also do is, as you can see, we have one production order which is open, B0080. And here also you can basically notify a production supervisor not to produce this item. All right, so now once I'm done with approving my change request, I have informed the once I reviewed the business impact, I can basically convert this change request into a change order. You can add a change request to an existing change order or a new change order. Here I'm adding a new change order. So as you can see, it has created a new change order 29, and it copied all the attributes and it copied all the items from the change request. You can add additional title, severity. You can now basically update a formula or a BOM or a route in the change order level. And then basically you can do the next steps. I will quickly go back into the USMF company just to show you the notification when in the business impact which we did, and we informed the sales responsible. So this kind of notification sales responsible will get, and will get the information which sales order it is about. So now we are again back in DEMF. We are kind of converted the change request into the change order. Now to show you the next steps in this process, I will hand it over to Meenu, who is going to walk us through the change order process.
Thank you, Hiren. Let's check demo of change order. As Hiren displayed in the last demo, that we are assuming that component M00118 polyoil is having a supply chain issues. And one of our supplier has suggested to use a lignin, which is M00031 instead of polyoil. And for that, now we have created a change request in the last demo and also have a change order in DEMF, which is our engineering company. Now, R&D team will review and test the product formula changes to make sure replace component lignin instead of polyoil is providing a better density for acoustic foam panel. Let's just assume that we decided to go with the change request. So for that, we'll go to engineering change management dashboard. And I could see there's so many open change orders there. I'd like to go by the title, so I'll go ahead and add the title column. It's just make it easy for me to find out. So after I add it, I would see that the change in ECM AFP001, it's there. I can click on that change order, which will take me into the change order. There I would see that I have an impact of new version. So we are doing a new version. So you would see the current version is VO1 and the impacted new version is going to be VO5, which is version 5. And on the headers, I could see that I'm the engineer on that since I'm the one who created it. The other thing we'll do here, as mentioned, we'll go ahead and put the change reason. In the drop down, we'll see that we don't have a supply chain, right? And the reason we are doing it is because of the supply chain. So we'll go ahead and add that reason in there. So we'll just give a reason and the little description if you want to add. For the demo purpose, I'll just call it the supply chain and the supply chain as a description also. But that could be changed accordingly. And once I do that, I can choose as a drop down as supply chain. And I'll put a description where it's easy to tell that what was the reason and what we did on that. And one of the good part about putting the reason is because when you run the engineering change order report, you can actually put a reason and see what all ECM orders are done depending upon that reason. So I can say, oh, what are all done with the supply chain? So those reports can be done depending upon that. Now I'll go and go to my formula. And I'll click on lines there. I would, as talk about, we're going to be deleting a polyoil, which is M0018, and we'll add the new one called M0031, which is our lignin. So you would see that. And on the top, make sure you put the correct time quantity and series. We don't want to change the proportion on our formula, right? After we do that, we'll save it. And as you notice that we have a new and deleted there. So from there, we're going to go ahead and approve the new formula, whatever the changes we did. We'll choose the right person who will be approving it. So after we do that, we'll click OK. Now we have approved the formula and it's activated, right? The next step is to make sure our work order is correct. So we'll go ahead and validate and we'll see that everything is correct on that engineering change order. The next step is usually done by the workflow, but for the purpose of this demo, we'll go manually approve it and show how it process goes through. And after we approve it, we'll process it. What if this process does it released our new version within our engineering company, which is DEMF, right? And if you want to release that into our operational company, you'll go to this option. You don't see it because that version is not activated. So from here, I'll go to my release product details. And there, once it opens up, I'm going to look at all the engineering versions and see if my new version is activated or not. So I would notice that my VO5 is not activated. I'll go ahead and activate it. That way I could release it to my operational company, which is USMF. So let's go ahead and try that. This time when we look at it, we can see that new version is there. So I'll select it. It's going to error out for site. So make sure for BOM and formula, you put the site because it is mandatory. So we'll put the site in there, we'll select an item, and we do have to choose our company. In our case, we are using USMF, and we'll put the receiving site as 1. And we'll click next. What this process does, again, it's going to release that to our operational company. All this process could be done through a workflow. We could have a workflow depending upon the severity and category and all those things. So you can put priority and everything in a workflow. It could be automated. For the purpose of demo, we are manually showing you every single step. So now we'll go to our USMF company, which is our operational company, and we'll see what it did there. So we'll go to engineering change management. There, we'll open up a form called open product releases. which is going to show us that our ECM AFP 001 is in the status of pending acceptance. So here there are different options you can do. You can change the edit, you can look at the product detail, you can look at the engineering version. The first step we'll do is validate it to make sure everything is correct on that one. And then the next step I would suggest is to go to engineering version, look at the lines and see the correct version is there with the correct polyoil. That's we replaced it. So we want to make sure polyoil is replaced with lignin. So N0031 is there. And now, usually it's always suggestible to do a readiness check before you start using that product, right? So it's optional, but we always suggest to do that. So we'll just try one and show you how you're going to do it. So first step is we'll check it. And once it's done, we'll go ahead and approve that readiness check. And since we are copying our activation, so we don't have to manually activate in this region, so we'll go ahead and accept it. Once you accept that change, it will go away from this open product releases form, which means that the new version is released in our release products. So we'll go to product information management. We'll go to release products, and we'll try to find the product, which is ECM_AFP 001. There are different ways you can find it. You can either go to ECM module and go for police products, or you can go this way. There are different ways you can go to the same form. So after I get there, I'll look at my caustic form panel, and I'll go to my engineering formula version engineering. Either way you can go. So I'll go to formula versions, and I'll notice that the new version is already there with the new component added. So that's conclude the demo for change order. I'm going to hand over to Anne to wrap us up and show us resources. Thank you.
Thanks, Meenu. Let's wrap this up. All right. We'll start by covering some resources if you're looking to get some more information. So first of all, we have, as usual, links to the Microsoft documentation about engineering change management, which you can see is our first link. I also specifically linked the article about enabling change management on existing products. So if you're live on Dynamics and you're using regular products and you want to implement ECM, that is something you can do. And this article kind of walks you through the steps, the things that you need to know if you're looking at implementing this. And as we mentioned, the recordings for the 2 previous Tech Talks in this series are on the Dynamics community page. We also have the links here, which will be available when we publish this presentation with the recording of this session. I want to take a minute to highlight the Yammer group as well. So we have the Yammer Insider program has a specific group for engineering change management where you can ask questions and get feedback from other users. And it's also very active from the product team side as well. They'll come in and help answer your questions. So definitely recommend, if you're not a member of the Yammer group, to join that. And then, of course, we always want to hear feedback on how we can do better in our products. So if you have any ideas, you can go to the ideas site and log them. And don't forget to vote for other people's ideas as well. For those of you who made it all the way through, we have the answer to our riddle, which was, how many programmers does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know, Anne. What is it?
None. That's a hardware problem.
Oh, that is so funny.
So with that concludes our content, and I don't see any questions in the chat. So I'm gonna give it just a few seconds. So if you have any questions that you want us to answer, please go ahead and put them in the chat at this time. And I forgot to mention, we do have another session coming up on September 29th for the product retirement process, which will be our last session that we have planned so far. And it looks like we've got a question in the chat, which is, can deviations be handled in ECM in future versions? Can you clarify what you mean by deviations? Are you talking about like non-compliances and things like that? You should be able to reply on the back of the question you submitted. I will say, in some, so we do have non-conformance, if that's what you're asking about, we do have non-conformance functionality in the system. I'm not sure off the top of my head if, okay, changes that have an expiration date. So I'm not sure if you can create a change request from a non-conformance, which is certainly something we can look up and answer. But as far as I know, that functionality is not directly linked. Kieran, do you know any differently?
No, I think you are right. Maybe I think we haven't understood the question, but I believe we are talking about if the change request or change orders have any expiration date itself. In that case, no, we currently don't have that capability.
However, so in the example we talked about in this session, we said there was a supply chain issue and we couldn't source a certain chemical, so we swapped it out. We do have the ability to, instead of just making a permanent change to our bill of materials, we can use date control on versions to say this is an alternate version that we're going to use essentially for however long it takes us to resolve the issue, and then we can switch back to the original BOM version or formula version. So we do have effectivity dates on engineering versions, so to and from dates, and we can use effectivity dates on formulas versions as well to kind of control when a formula should expire. So hopefully that answered your questions. We don't have any more questions in the chat. So with that, before I hand it back to Michaela, I just want to say thank you so much for attending, and please make sure you take a minute to fill out the survey that Michaela posted in the chat. We really look forward to your feedback on these sessions, what kind of content we can do, and how we can improve on our Tech Talk. So thank you everyone for attending, and I'll hand it back to Michaela to close us out.
Thanks, Anne. As was stated, there is a link to a short survey in the Q&A panel. It'll only take a few minutes, so please take a moment to provide your feedback there. It definitely helps planning for future events, so thanks in advance for your participation. Once again, the recording of today's session will be available on the Tech Talks Community Dynamics page within 5 business days. I would like to wrap up by extending a huge thank you to our presenters and you, audience, for joining us today.